Hi everyone, I'm here with a book called Into the Deep, Diving into a Life of Courageous Faith. And I have to say, I just love the way these books feel. It's a paperback, but it almost feels like a silicone-coated book. It's really interesting. I don't know if you felt, but I'm feeling a lot of books like that lately that I get. They feel like they're silicone. But anyway, this is part of a blog tour that we're doing with Audra Jennings, PR. I'm looking for my... This is a really good book for a book club, and I know I always say this, and I have the best intentions, and sometimes you just can't get everything I want to get done. But I want to do it one of these days where we can all get the same book and kind of do an online book club. This is a great book for that I would recommend from one of those if you have a book club or if you have an online book club. Into the Deep by Lauren Gaskill. Now, this book is about, so what is this book about? It's on the back, it says, Go Deeper with Jesus. Following Jesus doesn't guarantee sunny skies and smooth sailing. In fact, the waters of life are often tumultuous, crashing over us. Sometimes we can feel that we're drowning in a sea of confusion, division, frustration, complacency, or disillusionment. I've certainly felt like this week. We need more than a shallow faith to survive the deep waters of life. Into the Deep is an invitation to dive headfirst into a life of fearless faith. With endearing warmth and authenticity, Lauren Gaskill shares how she and others have learned to swim with Jesus in the deep waters of life, facing challenges such as anxiety, depression, and chronic illness, only to discover a more authentic, enduring faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances. In addition to examining the character of God and the lives of women and men of the Bible, she provides practical examples and tools that help us take our faith to the next level by learning to make decisions by faith, control our reactions to overwhelming situations, and live a life rooted in love. Get ready to exchange fear and frustration for the boldness, courage, and the holy confidence that lead to a life of deep faith and joy. I can tell you that my sister and I have been going through a very, very difficult time with some of our other siblings in a decision about some family property that we own. Our parents left to us when they passed away. The property, the house, is filled with deep emotion. Some for probably the most for my sister and I. Good emotion, okay? Good memories, good emotion. But emotion nonetheless. And it's hard to separate that type of emotion from a lot of things that are going through. But, we had a really stressful meeting this week. I mean, really stressful. And at times in the last few days, I have just felt exactly like what this says. Like I'm drowning in these waves and they just keep hitting me and hitting me. And I know a lot of us can feel like that, especially during the holidays. It doesn't have to be a situation like mine, but it could be that you're apprehensive about going into a situation. Maybe you're going to be with siblings or other family members that are going to bring out the worst in you and everyone, right? Or maybe you're alone. Maybe you just lost someone. I know the holidays have never been the same for me since I've lost my parents. I mean, I've had my little children that have never known my parents, but that have always been, want to make it nice for them. And my older kids, of course, too. But it's never been the same, so it's just the holidays are a hard time. And a lot of times, like, all of those things come flooding back to you. Like, I make my mother's recipes, and sometimes I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this part of it or something, and I should have wrote that all down, or whatever it is. And it could just trigger something and bring you completely back there, right? So, Into the Deep is going to tell us about how to survive when this stuff is happening, and not just survive, to really make the right kinds of choices, because it's another thing my sister and I were both saying. We were looking for any type of guidance, praying for guidance, both to our parents and to God, to find out what is the thing that we should do, and it's hard, because sometimes you don't hear the answer right away, and you have to be patient. So this is Taking the Leap, and I'll just read a little bit of it. Jump, jump. I stood at the edge. Jump, jump. I stood at the edge of the pier, unsure of what my next move should be. Behind me, my sister and mother-in-law continued their playful encouragement. Jump, they exclaimed. Part of me wanted to, but one look at the 7-foot waves made me want to run back to the safety of the sandy shore. The warm saltwater air beckoned me to dive into the cool blue ocean below, but fear arrested me to a motionless standstill, as it taunted me with thoughts such as, "You don't know what sharks might be out there? You can't even see the bottom. What if you land on something and hurt yourself?" I closed my eyes and flashed back to the previous Christmas, when our family had gone boating in the Bahamas. At one point during the tour, our guide invited everyone to jump into the open ocean. One by one, each family member cannonballed into the deep blue waters. But I stayed on the boat because I was afraid there might be sharks, or I might get too cold. Fear from exciting adventures to everyday experiences. Fear is a reality fear from exciting adventures to everyday experience. Fear from exciting adventures to everyday experiences. Fear is a reality we all face. Our world is brimming with it. Headlines, social media statuses, and even some Sunday morning sermons are laced with twinges of it. We're afraid of nuclear warfare, unfair treatment, financial ruin, disease, and mass shootings. We're afraid God might not come through for us, or may even have forgotten about us. We're afraid we don't have what it takes to make it through the tempests that rage around us. Why are we so afraid? Standing on the edge of that wooden pier, I opened my eyes and saw that the waves were still crashing beneath my feet. But this time, I decided that, despite my fear, it was worth taking the leap. Others had jumped before me and knew how to swim. Others had jumped before me and I knew how to swim. I just had to have a little faith. I breathed in the saltwater air slowly, letting it flood my senses and fill me with a calm, steady assurance. Sometimes we need to be reminded that the faith and peace we seek is within our midst. If we would just breathe it in. I asked my husband to count for me, and 1, 2, 3, I went arms and legs stretched out wide into a star shape before plunging full force into the big old blue. The water felt cool and refreshing, and because I've been a swimmer for most of my life, I knew I didn't have to fear the waves. I knew how to stay afloat. I surfaced, a smile on my face, and adrenaline in my veins. A quiet laugh escaped through my lips, and I wondered why I'd been so afraid. Why I'd let fear hold me back for so long. I smiled again, knowing nothing was going to hold me back anymore. That is what faith and freedom in Christ feel like. Faith is not the absence of fear, but the presence of courage. Faith says, okay, fear, I know you're there. I see your big, mean, and intimidating self, but I'm not going to let you win. You're defeated in Jesus' name, and you cannot keep me from having the life I've been called to. Beloved, you were not meant to live a life crippled by fear. You were made to experience deep faith, joy, and freedom in Christ. That is what our good Father so desperately wants for you. It's what God has spent the last 10 years helping me find, and it is what I want to help you find too. I've learned that the way to find it is to dive into a life of courageous faith that helps us overcome every high and stormy gale as we commit to swim through life with Jesus. And that kind of faith is birthed in the deep waters of life, in the trials and the testings. This is where we have the opportunity to sink into despair or put our faith into action. As we begin this journey together, there are a few things that you need to know. As we begin this journey together, there are a few things that you need to know. First, the book is divided into 2 parts: Out of the Undertow and Swimming with Jesus. Think of each section as a progression in the faith journey. Before we can swim with Jesus and go deeper into our faith, before we can swim with Jesus and go deeper in our faith, we first have to break any chains that are binding us and keeping us trapped in the undertow. Then, once we've learned to reach out in faith for the saving hand of Jesus, we are ready to become a true warrior of the deep, a strong, courageous, virtuous conqueror and overcomer of the waves of this life. Second, at the end of each chapter, you will find questions for personal reflection. Small group study. You are free to write your answers in the book or in a separate journal. Whatever works best for you. Finally, each chapter ends with a prayer prompt, which you can modify however the Spirit leads. Beloved child of God, with faith and Jesus, there is nothing you can't face and overcome. It's time to take the leap into the deep. It's time to dive head first into the unknown and embrace a courageous faith and relentless hope in the lifeguard who is never off duty. This is where the real adventures begin. This is where the real adventure begins. We are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. Romans 8:37. So you can see just in the introduction how empowering it is, and there it is, out of the undertow. So help me, I'm drowning. Deep calls to deep. In the roar of the waterfalls, all your waves and breakers have swept over me. Psalm 42:7. So this is a great book. We're going to put it on our holiday gift guide, but you know what? We're also having a giveaway for this. And like I said, this is a great book. I would really like to do an online book club, and I just might do it because this book is really speaking to me right now, and I think I could really use it. So I may go and read, if you want to pick up the book, you can check it out. I'll put the link in the video description, but I think maybe I'm going to start reading aloud a chapter and posting them, and then if you have the book, we can discuss things in the comments, and if enough people join in, we can even have a live YouTube video where people can be really interactive. Let me know if you'd like to do that. I always say, let me know if you'd like to do that. Nobody really comments, so I'm figuring that nobody really wants to do that, or they're not even watching the video to the end. I don't know. But anyway, this is Into the Deep. We're going to have a giveaway on the blog, and this is part of a blog book tour. I want to know your thoughts on this book. I want to know if you would like to read this book, and if you're going to enter the giveaway. Let me know, guys. And I hope that if you're struggling with something, that the answers become clear for you, and you can just feel comfortable that, faith and whatever your faith is, it's going to guide you to make the right decision. And I'd love your prayers too. That would be great if you want to do that, because it's been a rough week. So anyway, this is the giveaway. Let me know your thoughts, and I have some great inspirational journals coming up that make really great holiday gifts, and they're quite unique. So stay tuned for that video too, in that blog post. Have a great one, everyone, and don't forget that we have a Zoomer, the Playful Pup giveaway going on, and we have lots of giveaways going on, more coming up, lots of great toys, we have lots of great books, and all kinds of things. You might even have an Instant Pot coming up in a giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Bye-bye now.